Thank you very much. Ahoy Praha. Thank you for having me with you today. I appreciate I'm not Christian Twaddle, as many of you will have noticed. So just a little bit about me. I'm a success manager, obviously working at Tableau, and one of my essentially responsibilities is to ensure that organizations realize the value from their Tableau investment. So it is my absolute pleasure to take you through today's session, which is creating the foundation for a thriving data community. So let's get started. Firstly, what will you learn today? So firstly, we want you to understand why building your own data community is so important. Secondly, we will take a look at what are some of the first steps in getting your data community started. And lastly, we will provide you with many ideas for communication, engagement, and support channels. Now, when we're trying to define what a data community is, I don't think there's a better example than this meetup that we have. I believe we're all here because we want to sort of imagine a world in which people use the data because they want, not because they have to. So what we're looking to achieve is to give the community the opportunity to connect with their peers, to learn, to experiment, to explore together. And with a community that is built into your organization, people will start seeing data as something that's more approachable, more valuable, more fun. And it's community that puts data at the center of every conversation. And that's what you will also find at the heart of a thriving data culture. Now, why does it matter? The idea behind it is that every organization is in a constant state of change. Sure, some are faster, some are slower, but change is inevitable. And often it is uncomfortable at the same time. So in the image that you can see on your screen, you will be able to see the kind of famous change curve by Kubler-Ross. Now, it shows the different steps a person or an organization goes through when a change occurs. Now, this change can be a transition to a modern technology platform like Tableau, or it can be digitalization in general. In this scenario, community can tremendously help speed up the recovery phase by creating the support structure for the dip that we see there. So that anger to deliberation piece. And the community provides the support and understanding in that deep dip and helps community members adapt to change easier and integrate them basically in the change process. Now, what are some additional, benefits of the data community? First off, I think the learning one is the most obvious. I think if you think for yourself for a second, you will have been in a situation where a colleague has helped you learn something in 1,000 scenarios, right? It also fosters collaboration. So in communities, you can find like-minded people, such as those around you right now, which will make you feel kind of like a part of something bigger. Now, communities can also be places for recognition and career development, which is obviously very important. Apologies, I heard my own voice there. And the community can furthermore foster support and knowledge sharing within a group, right? And lastly, you can give and receive very valuable feedback in a community. So in summary, a community can bring a great many benefits to your organization. Now, it's important to keep in mind that no one wants to join a community because they have to. It's important for us to create a community where people are truly, they truly wish to join and participate practically in their own. Now, to fully realize these benefits, you should build a community that does the following thing. So break down silos and encourage cross-functional collaboration. So you want as many if you're looking at it from an organizational point of view, you want as many departments to be a part of that. as possible. It enhances support and erases frustration in order to keep the momentum on usage. And it creates a self-sufficient enablement environment that will help you sustain a steady rate of adoption. Now, by this point, you're saying to yourself, Dan, that sounds fantastic, but is there something that can help me in my journey? And the answer that Tableau has created is the Tableau Blueprint. So it's our step-by-step guide on essentially becoming a data-driven organization. I think a lot of you have seen it. But it's also the answer to the question of, what it looks like and how do I get there? And today, what we want to do is look a little bit closer to that pillar at the very bottom, which is community. Now, if you look at the different sort of stops within the community pillar, you will notice communication, engagement, and support. So communication are needed to create awareness and desire for Tableau. And users want to know, where they can get a license from, which departments are already using the software, where to get started, where to get the support from, etc. And one effective way of doing this is to create one central place where all the relevant Tableau information is accessible. There are many ways in which you can communicate with your user community. We recommend via an enablement intranet, which is kind of like your internal wiki, if the term is unfamiliar, a blog or a newsletter, or a discussion forum. It can also be in applications such as Slack or Teams. Now, ideally, you will implement all three of these, but that really depends on your resources. Now, all of these resources will help you promote adoption, scale data and analytics more efficiently, and drive self-service. Now, as an example here of an enablement intranet, here you can see at one glance, that this is the go-to place for all Tableau-related topics. There is a starter kit, updates on the new release, event information, a support link, etc. So best practice is to group content in different sections so that the users can easily navigate through the wiki. And these can be, from getting access to Tableau to education and training, to Tableau starter kits, you name it. Now, a lot of the customers that we work with will establish links to the official Tableau help for general information and updates. And that means much less work for you when you are looking for that up-to-date information. Now, on the next few slides, I will show you even more examples for what some of these sections might look like. So here's an example of essentially a newsletter here that we can see in kind of the background, where there is a list of the upcoming webinars, what are some of the on-demand webinars, what are some of the Tableau user groups there, and there's a link, outdated albeit, to the Tableau Conference 2019. And then when it comes to communication over chat or a different essentially communication channel, here you have kind of the marketing team Slack that we can see there. Now, here are some content ideas on the left-hand side. What you can include in the newsletter. So we've mentioned the webinars, we've mentioned the community events, but you can also add visualization best practices, product news, if there's a server upgrade coming up, etc. So now that we've kind of taken a look at communication, let's look at engagement. So the goal of the engagement subway stop is to enable collaboration between your organization, and engagement connects well kind of the users within your organization and generates enthusiasm around data-driven insights and decision-making. So in particular, engagement activities help build excitement around the use of Tableau, accelerate and reinforce the vision for modern analytics, fuel the organizational transformation, and in general increase collaboration knowledge and expertise by connecting users with different skill levels and across different teams and departments. Now, there are a set of tools that you can that you can leverage, such as when you're looking at some of the internal activities, you can look at your Tableau user groups, your champion group. You can host some lunch and learns. You can have some whiz games. And then if you're looking at some external activities, you will have community hosted activities, such as this meetup, the Tableau community forums, which I highly encourage you to take a look at, and area Tableau user groups, etc. So like I did with the communication stop, I'd like to show you a couple of real examples in the next slide of what the community can look like. Ooh, pardon me. So if essentially depending on the profile of person you are, there are different ways in which you can engage with the community. So if you like to learn by speaking and connecting with other Tableau user group kind of individuals, you will have meetups such as this one. You will have the Tableau forum. You will have the data dev user group, or essentially if you just search #datafam on social media, you will find a ton of different users to connect with. If you're more of an introverted type and would like to learn more through reading and absorbing, Tableau Public is phenomenal for whiz examples. We have also the Data Leadership Collaborative, which is great for thought leadership. And then once again, the Tableau forums are amazing for Q&As. So as you get more knowledgeable and comfortable with Tableau, there are also opportunities for you to stand out as an expert via our Ambassador and Zen Master programs, as well as the Iron Viz, which many of you will know during our Tableau conference is the ultimate kind of whiz showdown. 1 second. So by now you should have plenty of ideas on how to engage in the future with your community. So in order to take away some of the work for you and help you get started, Tableau has created a toolkit for 5 activities, including quiz games and internal user groups, that will help you kind of quick start those activities within your organization. A lot of these will have out-of-the-box materials such as templates, logos, slide decks that you can just modify to your liking and then adapt to your organization. And all of these are stored on our websites. You can see the link here. Okay. Now, there are different ways in which you can support your Tableau community, such as internal support escalation, champion development, data doctor sessions, or mentoring. Now, the goal of setting up these support channels is to give your community the help they need so that they don't become frustrated and abandon Tableau. It will furthermore remove the obstacles of using data and analytics effectively, resolve technical issues, and essentially help users get their answers more quickly. So it is in line with the idea of essentially doing self-service, and furthermore, it encourages peer-to-peer assistance and champion development. Now, in the following, I'd like for us to take a closer look at some of them. So, starting with the support process. Pardon me. In addition to the proactive steps that we've seen before, and that hopefully you will have taken aboard in terms of self-service help resources and education initiatives that you will hopefully have published on the enablement intranet, the user community should be able to request even more support when essentially those two approaches do not answer their questions or resolve their issue. So if a user cannot find the help they need, then they're more likely to become frustrated and sort of abandon Tableau, which obviously will negatively impact adoption. So like other enterprise platforms, you should define the support escalation path for Tableau, considering the next levels of support will be available and which teams will be responsible for the resolution. So customers have successfully established community-led supports by typically using champion-created content and escalating to analytics or IT teams for system-level and product-level issues, such as server or database access, or essentially something that the immediate BI team cannot resolve. As an example of an internal support escalation path, you could have as a first step, your departmental or team champion, then a channel-based communication or chat. Think of a Slack channel for that type of support. If you have the resources, the data doctor office hours, where your data doctors might be able to essentially resolve that issue on the spot. And finally, an analytics support ticket. For the last instance, if you're logging an analytics ticket with Tableau, you have two options. Essentially do it online or do it via your portal. But if you're logging the support ticket internally, I highly recommend you essentially categorize it to ensure that you can use that data later on in identifying some roadblocks and potentially resolving that issue instead of facing it over and over again. Right. So in summary, a thriving data community is key for your success with Tableau. Enthusiastic Tableau users will put the data at the center of every conversation they have. Data communities do live from sharing knowledge and best practices. And there are 3 steps to building a community: communication, engagement, and support. Many different ways in which you can interact with your Tableau users, which we have seen. And please do leverage external and internal ideas on how to build up your community. No one approach will be the same in this. But the ultimate goal should be to drive data culture across the whole organization. Thank you very much for having me, Prague.